So, you're gearing up for your first ABAP interview, and let's be honest, it can feel pretty overwhelming. There's so much to learn. Well, let's just cut through all that noise. What if you had a clear, focused roadmap of the absolute bare minimum you have to know to nail it? That's exactly what we're going to build right here. And look, this is the exact question we're tackling, straight from a developer just like you over on Reddit. It's not about knowing every single thing under the sun, it's about knowing the right things. So you asked for it, and that's what we're going to break down right now. All right, first things first. Before you even think about writing a single line of code, you got to understand the world it lives in. So what exactly is ABAP, and where does it fit into this massive thing we call the SAP ecosystem? Okay, so at its core, ABAP, which stands for Advanced Business Application Programming, is SAP's own special high-level language. It's the tool that developers use to build custom reports, create new applications, and basically bend the standard SAP software to fit a company's unique needs. Now, this is so important to get. ABAP isn't just a language. It's really the central nervous system of any SAP application. It's the glue that connects what you, the user, see on the screen with all the complex business rules chugging away in the background, and finally, with all the data stored in the database. It literally makes everything talk to each other. And this right here, this shows you exactly where ABAP does all its magic. SAP systems are built on this three-tier architecture. You've got the presentation layer, which is your screen, the database layer, which is where the data lives, and smack dab in the middle, you have the application layer. That's ABAP's home. It's the engine room, the brains of the whole operation. Okay, so now that we've got the big picture, let's get into the nitty-gritty. These are the technical tools of the trade, the concepts that are absolutely non-negotiable. When you walk into that interview, they're going to expect you to have a solid handle on these. First up, we've got the data dictionary, or what you'll always hear called the DDIC. You can think of it like the master blueprint for all the data in the entire system. It's this central library that holds the definition for every single table, every field, every data type. It's the single source of truth, and it's what keeps everything consistent. All right, next up, internal tables. Now, picture this. You need to work with, say, 1,000 sales records. Are you going to go back to the database one by one by one? No way! It would be crazy slow. Instead, you grab all that data at once and pull it into a temporary table that lives right inside your program's memory. That, my friend, is an internal table. It's absolutely fundamental to writing efficient code. And you know, the developer community on Stack Overflow has a perfect way to think about this. If you've ever used a list in Python or an array in another language, you're already halfway there. It's just your program's private little scratch pad for data. It pops into existence when your program starts, and poof, it's gone when it ends. Simple as that. And finally, in this section, let's talk about modularization. This is really the secret to writing smart, clean code. Instead of writing one gigantic monster program, you break your logic down into smaller, bite-sized chunks, like function modules or subroutines. Not only does this make your code way easier to read and fix, but it means you can reuse those chunks in other programs. It's a total game changer. All right, so we've covered the stuff you need to know, but now we're going to talk about the one skill you absolutely have to be able to do. This isn't just theory, this is a hands-on skill. And honestly, it's a deal breaker. And yep, you guessed it, that skill is debugging. So why is it such a big deal? Come on, let's be real. Nobody's code works perfectly the first time. Debugging is how you hit pause on a program, crack it open, and see what's actually going on inside. It's how you find bugs, how you understand confusing code, and frankly, it's how you're going to survive your first real project. And here's the thing. The debugger isn't just for squashing bugs. It's probably the single best learning tool you have. By stepping through someone else's code line by line, you can watch how the data changes and see the logic unfold in real time. Seriously, mastering the debugger is like getting a superpower. You know, just knowing how to kick off the debugger is half the battle. This here is your cheat sheet. Pop /h into the command field and you can debug screen logic. Use /hs and you get system-level debugging, which is super powerful, and JDBG. Now that's a pro-level trick for jumping into the debugger for a background job after it's already finished. Knowing these commands shows you've actually been in the trenches. Okay, so once you're inside the debugger, how do you tell it where to stop? Well, that's where breakpoints come in. A session breakpoint is your standard temporary stop sign. It goes away when you log off. An external breakpoint is what you'll use for things like web services when a call is coming in from an outside system. And a debugger breakpoint is just a quick, on-the-fly stop you set while you're already in the middle of debugging.
Okay, look, if you nail the foundation, the toolkit, and you're comfortable with debugging, you are absolutely ready for that interview. You'll do just fine. But what if you don't just want to pass? What if you want to really impress them? Well, this final section is for you.
You'll find that senior developers and interviewers love to ask these compare and contrast type questions. And here's why. They're not just checking if you've memorized definitions. They're testing if you understand the why, the trade-offs you have to make as a developer. This shows you can think, not just recite. Here's a classic one you're almost guaranteed to get. OpenSQL versus native SQL. OpenSQL is the ABAP standard. It doesn't care what database the system is running on. Oracle, HANA, whatever. It just works. Native SQL is when you have to write code specific to that one database, maybe for a special feature. So what's the bottom line? 99% of the time, you're going to use OpenSQL. It's the safe, portable, standard choice.
Here's another great one straight from the DDIC. A transparent table is easy. What you see in ABAP is what you get in the database. It's a one-to-one relationship. But with pooled and cluster tables, SAP does this clever thing where it bundles lots of little logical tables into one big physical table in the database. It's kind of like putting a bunch of small documents into one big filing cabinet to save space. So the big takeaway here is that not every table in ABAP is its own separate table in the database.
All right, let's wrap up with something that shows you're not just a coder, but a professional. See, anyone can write code that works, eventually, but a true professional writes code that other people can actually read, understand, and maintain long after they're gone. It's all about clean code. So what does that actually mean? Well, it's pretty simple stuff, really. Use names that make sense, not just temp1. Keep your methods short and focused on one job. Don't hard-code magic numbers everywhere. And for goodness sake, when you go to the database, only ask for the specific columns you actually need. And trust me, as a fresher, if you do this, you make your senior's life easier, and that makes you a keeper. So that's it. You've got the core foundation, the essential toolkit, that one must-have skill, and the concepts to make you stand out. This is your roadmap. You're ready for that first interview. The only real question left is, what are you going to build first?